Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today. We're excited to have the VersaPay team with us presenting on Make It Easy for Customers to Know What They Owe. And I know you're all eager to get started with the presentation, so before I pass it over to Jen and her team members, Rowan and Adam, as a reminder, we are recording this video and it will be posted to our on-demand webinar library for you to review again or share with anyone. And if you do have any questions during our presentation, please feel free to type them into the questions box and we will get them answered during our Q&A time at the end of our session. And to kick off the presentation, we're actually going to have a short little video for you to watch. So Jen is going to kick that off and have you watch that.
Thank you, Angie. Here we go.
We have now entered the era of customer-centric AR. We have now entered the era of customer-centric AR. Until recently, all but your biggest customers had to submit to your invoicing process. Am I right? Well, now, even your smallest customers demand an invoicing and payment experience that works for them. That is customer-centric AR. This really isn't much of a stretch. Our behavior as consumers is driving our expectations at work. Think Amazon, Netflix, Uber, and when was the last time you wrote a personal check? We evolved a long time ago and found new ways to pay. The paper workforce is almost completely turned over, and millennials have entered the workforce en masse. Transforming legacy invoice-to-cash systems takes a real desire and dedication. But if changing with the times causes these things to go down, wouldn't we naturally see these go up? Are you still putting your company at the center of your AR? You're falling behind. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You are too focused on the balance sheet. You spend all your time managing workload. You've become finance's hit squad. You're the company's endless systems builder. Am I right? And you, invoices and payments.
Not my job.
You're darn right it isn't. Not anymore. It's time to shift your focus from repetitive, low-value, non-scalable, reactive activities to seeing what's actually important. The customer. Make your customers happy to pay you. That is customer-centric AR. Any questions?
Welcome back, everyone. I love that video. I hope it started everybody off with a little bit of energy. It certainly energized me. I saw Rowan smiling too, and even Adam. That's a good one. So hello, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time today. We're so excited to be here to present this webinar on behalf of VersaPay with Innovia. They're a really valued partner of ours, so we're really excited to bring you this session today. And we are going to be talking about make it easy for customers to know what they owe you. And there's a bit of a hint on the graphic with the invoice, and it's really about the way that you invoice your customer and that invoicing experience. But before we talk any further, let's get to know each other a bit more. My name is Jen Barrett, and I'm the Client Solutions Manager here at VersaPay. And my main goal is to help all of our customers get the most benefit out of everything we have to offer in terms of payments and AR solutions at VersaPay. And Rowan?
Hi, thank you, Jen. Hi, everyone. My name is Rowan, and I'm a sales engineer here at VersaPay. I'm going to be in charge of the second portion of our demo today, and I look forward to having this session with everyone. Thank you for joining us.
And Adam, why don't you say hello?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adam. I am also on the sales engineering team with Rowan. I will do the first part of the demo today, showing you ChargeLogic payments in the back office, and then I'll tee it up for Rowan to hit it out of the park.
Great, yeah. So let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to take a quick look at some of the existing invoicing solutions that you may be using today. And then we're going to talk about why it's so important to make it easy. We're telling you to make it easy. We want to tell you why it's so important. And then we'll take a look at that next generation invoicing experience that can help you make it easy for you and your customers. And then just as Rowan and Adam said, we're going to look at a demo starting with Adam in the ChargeLogic payment solution, that back office experience, how to make a payment really easy on an order, and then tee it up for Rowan to show you a more robust AR collections and some advanced features that we have. So how to make it easy with to know what they owe you, existing invoice options. So I really like to tee this part up with a going really far back in history solution that nobody should or probably is using right now, and that is the first known invoice. Actually dates back to the Mesopotamian era, where they would carve IOUs into clay tablets. And I love this fact because it really shows how instrumental invoicing has been in business since the beginning of time, and we have come a long way. And so some of the options that we do see today is that paper invoice. It's still seen all the time, and it started around the 1500s to 1800s. And they looked much like they do today. And one of the main benefits of using paper invoices, if you use them today, is no system change, no process change. You can remain in the status quo, because process change, system change, I'm sure Rowan and Adam can attest to it, is challenging. Sometimes it really is easier to stay with what you know. But again, as you probably know, it's labor intensive, it is expensive, slows payment cycles, has that low traceability, low data quality, and of course, it's not environmentally friendly. Then we move into the 1960s, where we had PDF invoices, and this was the first step towards digitizing the AR process. It's much more cost effective to actually deliver that invoice to your customers, but much more cost effective to actually process that payment in that invoice. And it doesn't provide a lot of security, being able to download that PDF if you happen to get the email. And again, not great traceability, low data quality, and low visibility. And moving into the 1990s, we look at the more advanced options with click-to-pay invoicing, which is something that we actually do with our ChargeLogic payments directly within Microsoft. And I will ask for Adam to speak to this because it's so great. It integrates right within your ERP, a lot less friction with your customers, so much more secure, easy to use and set up. And I'd love for Adam to chime in on how we integrate our click-to-pay with Microsoft.
Absolutely. So, you know, one of the most common issues today is people want to consume things on demand, you know, right away when they get it. So we have found that the adoption of click to pay, meaning that when I click the send button, it shows up in the customer's inbox in a matter of seconds. And whether or not they act on it right then and there, the fact of the matter is they have it in front of them. It's in their email on their phone. It's in their email on their work computer. So the excuse of I never got that or I didn't see that is kind of a thing of the past. You know, especially with things like read receipts or the ability to monitor whether or not these emails were actually received, we know and we can see who we sent those to. So this is just kind of another tool in your arsenal to make sure that you're getting paid in a timely fashion.
Yes, absolutely. And being able to pay right away as soon as they get that invoice is so powerful.
For sure, especially so you don't forget.
Yeah, never want your customer forgetting about that payment. And so before we move on, I'd love to poll the audience to get a sense of how you are invoicing your customers today. I'll have Angie post a poll asking the question, how are you currently invoicing your customers today? So we do have that print and mail, PDF, e-invoice, online portal, or other. I would love to hear from the audience. Do we have any guesses on which version is going to be most popular?
Based on my experience, Jen, I will put my money in print and mail.
Great guess. Yeah, it's still PDF. Okay. And next we'll be asking how many invoices are you approximately processing a month? Because the more invoices that you are processing a month, the more pain you have surrounding AR and collections. You know, 250 to 1,000, click to pay is such a great option. But as you get into that 1,000 plus, that's where what we're going to show later with a more robust invoicing solution can really help alleviate some of that pain that you're experiencing. So we'll close the poll. Thank you so much.
We have 251 to 1,000, by the way.
Great, yeah, 250 to 1,000. So if you're not using Click to Pay already, that would be a really awesome option to look at, which you'll get to see later. So moving on, we're going to talk about why it's so important to make it easy. And it's because, as you saw in the video, we have now entered the era of customer-centric AR. The AR function has historically been viewed as a back office job, but any AR professional knows that there is a front office experience where you are connecting with the customer over disputes, collections, discrepancies on the invoice. There's so much that goes on with connecting with the customer. So there is this front office experience, and more customers are demanding a very personalized experience. You know, that Amazon experience, and Rowan and Adam can speak to those demands a lot from our customers.
Yeah, Jen, we're getting more and more as we hop on call with some of these prospects. They're coming to us because their customers are the ones that are demanding to have an easy way, not only just to make payments whenever they receive their invoices, but even have access to some of these historical payments that they're making, and see how they're doing businesses with their vendors. Also with COVID, everyone's looking for a contactless way of paying and receiving those invoices as well. So there's definitely an increase in demand on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we know that there's an increase in demand and everybody wants this digital transformation, but it is difficult to transform like that. There's a lot of barriers, and we know that almost 80% of AR professionals say that the biggest barriers to increasing the use of electronics payments is that integration between electronic payments and their accounting systems, and then lack of customer or vendor adoption. And I'd love to get Adam to speak on that integration piece, because we do have such a special integration with ChargeLogic payments within Microsoft.
Absolutely. So a lot of Innovia customers already may be existing ChargeLogic payments customers. This is just kind of another piece of functionality that sits on top of ChargeLogic payments that really gives you so much more robust functionality in terms of AR, collections, dispute management, and some more advanced features that many of our customers today are actually currently looking for. You know, the bread and butter, the ChargeLogic payments that many of you know and love already, still does all the back office functionality. And when I get into the demo, I'll speak a little bit more to the other types of channels that we support. But it is a seamless integration leveraging ChargeLogic payments and ARC together.
Yeah, it's a really powerful combination. And then that lack of customer or vendor adoption, and I'll get Rowan to chime in a bit more on this next slide, because she lives and breathes this so much. We get to both the industry high-speed adoption and payment automation. 81% of customers, and when I say customers, I mean your customers' customers, adopt VersaPay and use a self-service portal. And there's a couple different reasons why this does work. And one of them is the CSM team. We have an awesome customer success team that helps you every step of the way to run campaigns early and often to encourage your customers to come online. And then the other one, Rowan will show later, is how the platform is built, really. But yeah, it's something that we work really hard on, because we know it's such a big barrier, right, Rowan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many times in our personal experience, if you're trying to do anything on a browser and someone asks you to input a username or a password or sign up, we automatically just close that browser. And we definitely want to move away from that in the digital payments space to ensure that customers are encouraged to make payments and vendors are getting paid at a much faster rate.
Yeah, I definitely will try a password once, and if it doesn't work, I'm shutting the computer and walking away. It's very short attention span for things like passwords. So moving on to that next generation smart invoicing. This is really that invoicing experience that is beyond what is really available in the market today, that works harder for you and your customers. So let's talk about what smart invoicing should do for you. And one of the main things is you're giving that invoicing experience customers want. Just like Adam said, we realized that our customers are everywhere, and more with the pandemic, they are truly everywhere on their phone, they're online, they sometimes do want print and mail. We want to be able to offer the invoicing experience that your customers want and give that personalization at scale. Like the video alluded earlier, it used to be that your largest customers only could dictate how they did business with you. Now every customer wants that personalization, and your smart invoicing solution should be able to do that. And then the next point is to put your customer in control of their account, where they can have that 24/7 online access to their past and current invoices, insights into available credits, and custom exports for their accounting best practices. And I really like this slide because it reminds me of a time when I had my first job at a boutique dance clothing store. It was my first boss, Heather, and probably 5 teenage girls running the store. And so we didn't have any kind of advanced systems. But without fail, every September when everyone was going in to get their new tap shoes, we would get asked the question, what was my kid's size last year? And we didn't have that information, but the expectation that we store that information was there. And more consumers are bringing that expectation into their business jobs. So that's why putting your customer in control is such an important piece to that customer-centric smart invoicing experience. And then you want to be able to resolve disputes simply. We know that collaborating on invoices, picking up the phone to call on collections, or short pays, not being paid in full and not really understanding why, can really mess with the cash application and reconciliation process later down the line. It is a huge pain point in the AR process, and smart invoicing makes it easy. You should be able to leave comments and interact online and have it directly linked to the invoice in question, and be able to have access to a complete audit history of any activities and communications. So collaboration is a really important piece to a smart invoicing solution. And finally, we talked about giving your customer that visibility, but we also want to provide you with the visibility into the health of your AR. So like Adam mentioned, having that visibility into when a customer has received, opened, or viewed their invoice removes the ability for your customers to claim that they never received an invoice. And if they still do, you can resend it very quickly and see where the status of that invoice is. And then, of course, documentation is so important. You want to automatically send and attach those documents to invoices online, like bills of lading and proof of delivery. Those are so important. And the final piece that I'll leave you with before we get to the demo, which is the real bread and butter of the presentation, is that this smart invoicing experience is really just one piece of a larger accounts receivable automation strategy, which you'll get a glimpse into. We're really focusing on the invoicing experience today, but there are a lot of pieces that advanced features that are really important to a holistic AR automation strategy. So with that, I am going to pass it off to Adam to show us our awesome ChargeLogic payment solution, and then show that back office experience and how easily it can integrate with the accounts receivable, more robust accounts receivable platform with Rowan.
Perfect, thank you. I can see that you can see my screen, I think, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. For those of you who this may be, a new type of screen for you, this is Business Central SaaS, so Microsoft hosted version of Business Central. I'll spend the next, I'll say 10 minutes or so talking about ChargeLogic payments in the back office, as well as the other sales channels that we cover. So when talking about ChargeLogic payments, it is truly an omni-channel payment solution. And what I mean by that is we're able to take payments from a variety of channels. Payments from your website. So taking e-commerce transactions, doing authorizations online, pulling those into the business system once the order is ready to go. Taking payments in the back office. Customer may call and want to place an order with you right then and there. Rather than waiting for this to go to collections, we can actually take the customer's credit card in a secure fashion and have the customer make the payment right then and there. We also offer a point of sale solution, so being able to take payments in a retail environment with a PIN pad. So if you have, in the time of COVID, that is certainly less and less. However, we have, a lot of restrictions have been getting loosened up in various places across the country and the world, and so people are doing more face-to-face shopping. So being able to take payments in a retail environment is another huge benefit. And then the last channel, and there's a little bit of overlap here between what ChargeLogic Payments Click to Pay does and what Rowan will show you in a few minutes. So I'll kind of show you the basic features and kind of the use case of why someone might use the Click to Pay that's found inside ChargeLogic Payments versus what Rowan is going to show you in just a couple of minutes. So from a very high level, ChargeLogic Payments is fully embedded inside of Business Central, inside of Nav. So regardless of what version you're on, rest assured the functionality is there. Just taking a quick look, we've added default functionality. So we've added functionality, but it's made to look and feel like a seamless experience for you guys. You'll notice here we're looking at the credit card stored against a particular customer. In this case, Trey Research is the name of the customer. And we can store these cards against either the customer or the contact record, so the individual people working at an organization. Really, the only reason I'm in here is because I want to show you the types of security or what we're doing to help protect that cardholder data. We're actually not showing you the cardholder information. What we're storing here and what we're actually showing is a token. So we use processor level tokenization, which is going to help reduce your scope for PCI compliance. That means when you're doing your self-assessment questionnaire on a yearly basis, you can answer the questions as though you are not storing cardholder data, but instead storing a replacement token, which is, makes things a lot easier for you. It makes things also much more secure. So you can set up the cards ahead of time if you wanted to go out and do a marketing piece and say, hey, let's get your customer information here. But you can also take payment on the fly. As kind of I mentioned, the customer calls you on the phone and wants to place an order. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. So filling out an order here for our customer, Trey Research. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and sell one of our handy dandy desks. And you'll notice as I add that to my order here, we'll put in a quantity of 1. And I can see here the total price, including tax, US dollars, is $1,000.80. So everything you've seen up until this very moment is standard functionality that you can all take advantage of. What comes into play now is the ChargeLogic Payments functionality in the back office. So you can see here we've added the payment fast tab, and we're leveraging the standard payment method code here. And what's happened is we've had a default customer credit card default onto this order. So without having to ask the customer for preferred payment method, I know this customer set up a credit card, and I have the card that's marked as default. If for whatever reason the customer calls and decides they want to pay by a different method, let's say they want to do an ACH payment, you'll notice instead of having the card number and expiration month and year, the routing number and account number fields are what become populated information or information that you need to fill in. If I move back to credit card, again, that default card comes in. I can look up to any of the other saved cards that I have for this customer or contacts, or I could actually type in a brand new card number right here. So giving you the most flexibility to be able to take payments in whatever fashion you feel is certainly important. And then next step, we're going to go out and get an authorization for this order for that $1,000.80. Again, going out to the payment processor, you can see here we've got this payment sitting, this authorization for the $1,000.80. And then going about your business as normal, whether you are buying materials to build something for this customer, in this case a desk, so maybe I'm going out and sourcing my materials, building the desk, and it's going to be a few days before I can get that out to the customer. What we really care about next is when this order gets posted. So when we actually ship and invoice this, you'll notice the native posting process takes over. And then at the last step here, what we're actually going to do is we're going to settle that authorization. And if we open up the invoice, in basically one, maybe 2 clicks, we've gone out and we've converted that authorization into a settlement. So that's now sitting in my batch for end of day processing. So all throughout the day, all the orders that I post, they're going to go out and sit into a settlement batch. At the end of the day, we have an automation that will, at whatever time you choose, will close the batch, submit it to the processor so that you get funded tomorrow. So this money is going to show up in your bank. And that's a very, very powerful and useful tool. It's kind of the Ron Popeil method where you just basically set it and forget it. You don't have to think about it. So that's, back office functionality in a nutshell. And I know I'm going very quickly here, but I want to make sure I leave enough time for Rowan here. I'll do a very similar example, and I won't follow it all the way through, but let's go ahead and sell another Athens desk here. I'm not going to use the same customer, so you'll notice I don't have the credit card information. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage our click to pay functionality. So this is the out-of-the-box functionality for being able to send the cardholder, if you will, an invoice, and we're actually transmitting that invoice up to our service in order to do that. So we are generating an email on your behalf, you being the merchant, and sending that to the customer. What it does is it sends an invoice that looks very much like this one, and this will come in just a second or two, but this is one that I had done yesterday. And again, this is a stock template. So this is the way it works. This is how it looks. And if you do need more robust functionality, Rowan will be able to talk your ear off about that. What's nice about this is, again, I haven't taken any cardholder information. What instead happens is the customer who gets this in their inbox, whether it's on their phone or in their office, they can actually come out and enter in their payment information right here. So that's, one less touch from your business entering card information. This is actually putting it on the burden of the person with the card to enter in their information. And then this information will get securely synced back to Business Central, stored in a tokenized fashion. But what happened here is, depending upon whether you're accepting credit card or ACH, you would obviously choose which option, which fields you want to fill in and pay the invoice. You're going to get an email confirmation letting you know the customer paid. The customer gets an email notification letting them know that the payment was received. So we're really trying to make sure that people know what's going on, that there's no guesswork as to where we are in the payment process. And then the beauty of this is, once the payment's been made, we treat it as though it was done exactly as it was a payment in the back office. So it will be sitting on the posted invoice. It will be sitting in the settlement batch for end of day processing. So you don't have all of these disjointed processes. Everything is smooth, everything is seamless, and it's repetitive. So you'll know exactly what is done and how that works. The last thing that I'll, there's 2 more things I'll speak to really quickly. I mentioned that we do have a point of sale application. So if you are in need of taking payments, that is certainly another option that we can certainly talk about. And then that last channel I talked about was e-commerce. So being able to, from your website, have a customer enter in their cardholder information, getting an authorization for that order amount. Then when the order comes into the business system, those get stored inside in Nav or Business Central. That payment gets pulled down from our service so that, again, I sound like a broken record, the process is the same. We have an authorization on an order, the order gets settled, or the order gets posted, the payment gets settled, and it ends up in your settlement batch for end of day processing. So again, trying to make this intuitive and that anybody from any channel processes payments in the very same way. All of this functionality, again, is the core ChargeLogic payments features. On top of this sits the next level. And I think this is a pretty good time for me to kick it over to Rowan so she can kind of show you the rest. I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you, Adam. Can you guys see my screen? Fantastic, okay, perfect. So thank you, Adam, that was great. I really like watching the ChargeLogic solution because it's so easy to use, and I know a lot of our existing clients are benefiting so much from it today. The second piece that I am going to demo for you today is our other product offering known as ARC, and that stands for Accounts Receivable Cloud. And before I usually start the demos, I want to just reiterate what we are accomplishing today with ARC. And if you just take a moment with me, we are making it very easy for customers to pay their vendors by making it very easy for them to know what they owe through a customer-centric AR portal, as you saw in the video. This downstream transformation is how we eliminate and reduce that upstream inefficiencies that a vendor's internal staff is experiencing today. And by giving customers a self-service portal to own that entire cash application process, as I'll show you in just a few minutes, having that data flow back into the vendor's ERP system without any manual intervention needed by the vendor. Think of it as a way that we are revolutionizing how companies are actually doing business together. So one, we're streamlining the AR process for a vendor to increase cash flow. And two, we're providing that excellent customer experience that clients are demanding today, as both Jen and Adam mentioned. So I'm going to go ahead and start the demo because I know that's the part where everyone's most excited about. What I'm sharing right now are two browsers here because I want to highlight that I'm going to be walking you through two distinct experiences today. The first experience is that customer-centric experience, and that's essentially what customers will experience when they view invoices, make payments, collaborate with their vendors, and have that history of payments that they're doing against those invoices. The second experience that I'm going to be sharing today is the back office experience as well. So similar to the charge logic solution, ARC does have features and functionalities by providing the vendors with a supplier portal, so a back office experience to allow collectors to manage those customers that are making payments and streamline that AR process a little bit further. So what I'm sharing right now on the screen is an example of 100 different customer automatic notifications. These can be configured from a language perspective, but also from a frequency perspective as well. So obviously, if you're issuing a brand new invoice, that's fantastic. But we also want to make sure that we are sending those dunning letters or these reminders for whenever an invoice is coming up due, but also after it's due as well. So 15 days, 30 days, and that can all be configured to your liking. Just to set the scene, right now, let's pretend I'm a customer. I'm an accounts payable manager working at Highwoods Properties doing business with Acme Distributors, who is the vendor that has purchased and installed ARC and are utilizing it today. I've received this notification right in my inbox here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on any of these tokenized links just to show you what that looks like. As Jen mentioned earlier, we do have an 81% adoption rate today with our customer adoption to the platform. And this is exactly why. I was able as a customer to go immediately from my inbox into our customer portal without at all having to input a username or a password. Having that frictionless and roadblock-free experience is one of the reasons why it's very easy for our end customers to come onto the platform and make payments to their vendors. Right now I'm seeing an invoice and we obviously support multiple different invoice templates that our clients can choose from. But just for simplicity purposes, I'm going to go ahead here as a customer, review the invoice details, see any backup documentation that I may need. That could be a proof of delivery, a proof of installation. Oftentimes our clients do come to us saying that their customers need that supporting documentation prior to making a payment, and we do make sure that we do support that. Having this one-stop shop to see everything so that payments are not necessarily delayed because the document isn't present. I can also use our online collaboration tool here to come in here and leave any comments. So I could say, for example, invoice looks good, we'll contact you on line item 2, for example. I could attach a file. I could add additional details as well. But when I do so, the great thing about our platform is that we are in real time sending back these notifications to the internal vendor as well. Adam talked about a really good point about receiving these invoices, but also giving those visibility to the internal vendor, but also the customers as well. As you can see here, we have an audit trail of everything that is happening on the platform from when an invoice was published, when an invoice was viewed for the first time, and any comments as well. So the internal staff members at Acme Distributors now know that Christine Weathers from Highwoods Properties left this comment on this invoice. They can go ahead and review that comment. If it was an open dispute, they now reduced that management or that time management that they needed on those disputes to go ahead and see how they can help Christine to make a payment. I'm going to go ahead and pay this invoice. And just a few things I wanted to highlight here in our shopping cart. We have different and we support different methods of pay, which is very convenient for a lot of our customers. So we offer ACH, EFT for Canadian companies, but also different types of credit card transactions as well. These could have been saved by myself from a previous date as a customer, but they also could have been saved on my behalf from any of the internal staff members at Acme Distributors. ACH is a very common method of pay that we see very, very common today. However, I do want to spend some time just talking about credit cards transactions because it is becoming more and more of a demand, allowing your vendors or allowing the customers that you're doing business with to make payments using credit cards. But a growing pain point that we're seeing today is that idea of processing fees as well. So if I go here, we'll be able to show any surcharges, for example, that are being applied by a vendor. So if I'm a vendor and I'm incurring a lot of processing fees by just allowing my customers to pay me via credit card, I'm allowed to introduce a convenience fee or a surcharge fee if and for when any customer decides to choose to pay me using their credit cards. But what's really great, obviously, apart from showing that and displaying that to our customers, as a vendor, I can control the percentage. So if I want it 3%, 2%, whatever that may be, that's fully in the vendor's control. But also taking this a step further, the vendor has the ability to choose which customers to incur that cost. So it's not an all or none blanket functionality, if you may. It is essentially a way for the vendor to pick and choose and create those payment rules as well that I'll talk about a little bit later as well in this demo. Now, as a customer, I have the ability to accept this payment using that credit card transaction or cancel, for example, and select an ACH. So with that being said, I do also have the ability to short pay as well. So if I had any questions or if I wanted to open a dispute, I have the ability to go ahead and short pay this invoice as well. We want to make sure that although we are trying to make it very convenient for your customers to pay, we also want to make sure that if we are offering that flexibility to short pay, that they go ahead and leave a short payment reason code, if you will, as well. And by doing so, I could go ahead and say, for example, I'm doing a partial payment, please see my comment. And again, these reason codes are being fed back to your ERP system because we do build a bidirectional data flow, connecting everything and bringing everything back in full circle. So if I go ahead and continue this, I still see the fees. I'm going to go ahead and complete the payment. So as you can see, very intuitive, very easy to use, but why is this amazing for the vendor themselves? With a few clicks, I was able, as a customer, to come in here, view my invoice, collaborate, select the payment of method that I wanted, complete a payment, and all that feeds right back into the ERP system. So in the back office, you don't necessarily now have a cash application manager sitting with a list of transactions and a list of invoices trying to match them and spending so much time trying to do so. We are sending you back the payments telling you a story. So these payments are letting you know who made that transaction. So not only is it Highwoods Properties, but it's Christine Weathers at Highwoods Properties that made that payment. We're also letting you know which invoice did Christine Weathers pay. We're telling you the amount and the balance. We're partially applying that invoice to that payment to the invoice just because this was a short payment. However, if it was a full payment, we are fully closing that invoice within your ERP. And it truly is a win-win situation for everyone. Now, this is all fantastic, but one major concept that we are getting asked about over and over again is that idea of signing up for recurring payments. So as a customer, I have the ability to come in here as well in the platform and give my vendor consent to automatically debit any of the payment methods that I have here on file on a specific day of the month or on due date. I could go ahead and let them know that I want them to accept credits. I could add a maximum if I want to. And by doing so, I'm setting this and forgetting it, as Adam mentioned. So I took that sentence from him. But right now, as a customer, now I know that all my issued invoices are going to be paid on the due date. So I don't have to worry about going in there and manually making payments against my invoices. But also as a vendor, I now know that Highwoods Properties is one less customer I need to worry about, because now I know that moving forward, any invoices that are issued to Highwoods Properties are going to be paid on the due date. The best part is that this recurring payment feature functionality can be set up on behalf of the customer by the vendor as well, which I'll show you in a little bit. So as you can see, there are so many different bells and whistles here within our platform on the customer portal. It's very intuitive, very self-serving. Your customers are going to have access to all their open invoices, their open credits, see the status of these invoices, the balances. But as I mentioned earlier, they're also going to see and have access to all their historical payments as well. So they won't necessarily be bugging that vendor, letting them know, hey, can you please send me a receipt for that invoice I paid in November 2020? They're going to have all what they need in this platform. And as well as an activity section, because there's visibility and there's an audit trail, I'll be able to see everything that I'm doing on my account. When an invoice, see all the invoices that are being published, are all my comments that I'm leaving, and as well as the payments and the auto pay agreements that I'm creating or changing. I know Adam and I are going through a lot of different really cool features and really cool concepts, but feel free, please, if you have any questions, leave them in the chat and we'll get back to them at the end of our webinar today. But just want to make sure that your questions will be addressed at the end of the call. So right now, I'm going to hop into that back office experience just for the sake of time to show you that the way and how the internal staff members at a vendor can easily benefit from our platform as well. So right now, just to set the scene again, I'm an accounts receivable manager now, working at Acme Distributors, and this is going to be my view. We have so many different reporting and dashboard capabilities here, whether we're talking about the day sales outstanding, the average days to pay, or even just giving you a great visual of the dollar amount of invoices that the vendor is publishing month over month versus the dollar amount that they're receiving against these invoices. As you can see, everything here is hyperlinked. So this view here is fantastic for the CFO, for a finance manager, very high level. It's very easy for me here to see the top 10 or the top 10 worst offenders list, if you will. These customers are not paying us at all. Our total outstanding AR and our net total if we're considering credits and unapplied payments into the mix. But what is fantastic as well is that we can categorize the AR differently the way you have it in your ERP system. So think of everything here as a mirror of what you see in your ERP. So if, let's say, you have different divisions internally, let's say you categorize your customers depending on their location, their region, the product or service type that you're offering them, we'll be able to categorize that for you. So as an executive, I could come in here and see, okay, how is my manufacturing east doing today? And everything is dynamic and everything is going to change accordingly. If we look at the concept of team assignments as well, we understand that the collections team can be as little as one person, but it can also be as big as 10 people. And if that's the case, then you have different responsibilities among those different collectors. You'll be able to create specific and personalized views as well to ensure that these different collectors are actually focusing on what they need to focus. What's really great about our supplier portal is just that change in mindset. We are now providing your customers to own that cash application process, giving them that customer portal to own how they do business with you. But we're also giving your collectors the supplier portal to focus on the exceptions. And what I mean by exceptions is focusing on the customers that will not or cannot pay you for whatever reason. And by doing so, let's say, for example, due to disputes or them having any issues with the invoices, or even them being mom and pop shops who may not necessarily adopt the platform, we're going to be able to monitor all that and show all that here. With our smart functionalities and smart filtering capabilities here, we are enabling your internal staff members to be able to come in here and slice and dice the data as well. So if I go here and select all divisions, as a collector, I'm able to come in here and make sure I'm focusing on a specific aging bucket, for example. So focus on customers who are overdue by this amount of days, or I want to focus on those that are within that bucket and are not paying us, for example. And as you can see, I'm creating these dynamic work lists as I go along. I can also focus on those that have any open disputes with us as well. And my list dramatically decreases, making sure that I'm actually focusing on what I need to focus on to receive those payments. That is definitely something that we see a lot of our current clients being incredibly grateful for. But even taking that a step further, being able to know the delivery status of every invoice that leaves the platform, that's huge. You're not only able to see if an email or an invoice was delivered, but you'll also be able to see when it was opened, but also when it was viewed. So many layers, so many intricacies, but definitely very, very beneficial and very insightful if you think about it. Similarly to that activities feed, something that I've received so many times as a feedback from our current clients is the ability to see that notification that goes out to your customer. Not only are you able to see those receipts as well that go, you'll be able to see the exact email, the layout, and everything that your customers are receiving. You'll be able to see who is receiving it, the date, and from who as well. But because we have the capability from within our platform to route notifications as well, you'll be able to pick and choose which email addresses to receive these notifications under every customer account that you own. Lastly, which I know is pretty important for a lot of vendors, is this concept of payment rules that I mentioned earlier today. You'll be able to go ahead and pick and choose which credit card you want to add rules for, but if you also want to add any rules for ACH transactions, you'll be able to do so. So as you can see, this is an example. I can go ahead and add a payment rule saying I'm only going to allow my customers to use Visa to pay me up until the first 10 days of an invoice date, and you will not believe how much that increases payment adoption. If I really want to use my credit card or my corporate card to get some sort of rewards, I am going to pay that invoice within that 10 days of it being issued to make sure that I reap the benefits. We could also add some incentives as well. So I could add a discount eligibility with a credit card, a flat rate or a discount fee, saying, for example, I want to apply a 2% discount for anyone who is going to pay their invoices in the first 5 days of it being paid. And as I mentioned, this can all be configured on a per customer basis, so it's not necessarily for all customers. You can definitely pick and choose as well. So there's definitely a lot that we can talk about. We've talked about collaboration, making payments online and how easy that is, the ability to slice and dice your customers to create those workflows. You can also create reminders for yourself, which will send you notifications as a collector, making your life easier as well. Now that we're in a day and age where notifications are definitely a driving force of what we do next. But there are so many different ways that we can streamline that AR process, but also create that excellent customer experience as well. So just wanted to reiterate, our platform here, ARC, which stands for Accounts Receivable Cloud, is a fantastic platform and solution for those customers or those vendors who have a large number of invoices that they're issuing month over month. They are looking to streamline that accounts receivable process within their organization. But as Adam mentioned, and as Adam showed as well, that charge logic payments piece is another offering that we have. And Angie did mention that the poll was for invoices that are being issued for the individuals on the call is around the 250 to 1,000 range, and that charge logic a product offering that we have is fantastic for that, as Adam showed as well. So we have different product offerings here within our umbrella under VersaPay, and we just wanted to show you a glimpse of what we can offer today. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it back to Jen to go through questions and take it home. Jen, I
Thank
think
you so much. Yeah, so I figured it out. It gave me a little notification. Thank you so much, Rowan and Adam, for taking us through that. I love watching the demo. I really do learn something new every time from both of you. So thank you so much. We're going to switch over to questions, and I think Angie is going to moderate some of the questions coming in the chat box.
Thank you all. I do have a few questions that came through. The first one is, what should we look for in a smart invoicing solution?
Great question. And I would say, you know, everything we talked about today, mainly that visibility, control, putting your customer in control, and in that ability to collaborate online.
Okay, thank you. And as we're going through these, if anybody does have any further questions, please feel free to type those in and we can get those addressed. Another one that came through was, what are some challenges you've heard from your clients since COVID started?
That is a great question, and I'm going to put this to Rowan and Adam.
I can take that one. You want?
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, one thing that I've heard is that nobody wants to touch cash anymore. You know, people are afraid of germs. I know, you know, even personally driving around places that are not accepting cash, it's either exact change, first of all, because of the, you know, currency shortage that we've all heard about, or credit cards only. For those people without credit cards, that leaves them in a little bit of a bind, but obviously, you know, being able to accept those credit card payments, you know, anywhere, anytime is important. Also, you know, another challenge is with people not being in the office, people that used to accept paper checks, and all their remit tos are the business address, and now these checks are just piling up in a mailbox, or relying on the postal service to redirect those to, you know, my home address, my home office, and then me having to take those checks and go to the bank. It slows down. It slows down payments. It slows down getting cash to your bank that you need to purchase, you know, new things, and so that has been a huge hindrance for many businesses. Those are probably the two biggest things that I've seen since COVID.
Absolutely, slowing down an already pretty slow process.
Okay, thank you. Another question is, does VersaPay integrate with BigCommerce and further to Business Central? Their e-commerce website hosted on BigCommerce, and then orders are imported to Business Central.
I could take that one again. You know, I kind of talked about, or I alluded to in the presentation, the ability to integrate with e-commerce providers. We have an open API, meaning that there are very few e-commerce shopping cart solutions that we can't integrate with. It's more a matter of the shopping cart, the e-commerce provider, using our API for the payment piece. I have heard of BigCommerce. I do believe we have customers that are currently using that. But again, our API is open, so you know, you could build your own integration to our API, or e-commerce providers out there in the market, you know, that we do have some already, you know, canned integrations for some of those as well. But the short answer is there's really no reason that it shouldn't work.
Great, thanks, Adam.
Thank you. And for mom and pop customers, my customers are small mom and pop jobs who will never stopped using print and mail. How can you get customers to use a payment portal instead?
That's a great question. I can take that one. So as I mentioned, because we do have those automatic notifications that are being sent out, it's very easy to use to adopt the platform. We also do understand the need for the mom and pop shops needs, and that's why we always offer a conjunction of using that online platform, but also being able to still send those print mails or print invoices to those mom and pop shops. I also alluded to in my demo that concept of recurring payments and being able to make payments on behalf of those mom and pop shops digitally as well. And lastly, I think a lot of our clients are also adding that expectation on their customers, where they'll say, for example, they'll no longer accept a check or any paper, as Adam mentioned, no one wants to touch cash, but adding that, saying beyond this point or beyond this date, we will no longer accept checks, and that definitely forces a lot of customers to adopt the platform as well.
And then they find out how easy it is, so they don't mind, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, Rowan. And one last question that came through. How can a smart invoicing solution integrate with the rest of our AR processes and tools, ERPs, digital payments?
So great question again. And I would say that, you know, what we showed today in what Rowan showed with ARC does integrate into the Microsoft ERP. ARC is actually ERP agnostic, but we do have a special integration through ChargeLogic payments. So it would mirror what you have existing in your ERP one-to-one. So we always like to say your ERP will be the source of the one source of truth, but then ARC has that functionality to connect with your customer.
Yeah, no, and just to add to that, Jen, that was great. Yes, we are ERP agnostic, so we do integrate to multiple ERP systems. We offer multiple different ways of integrations, whether they're connectors, file-based APIs. We also look and collaborate with our clients to streamline the AR process in different areas as well, whether it's any headache that they're receiving from lockbox ingestions, or wanting us to own that print relationship, or even wanting us to go ahead and ingest those supporting documents that I was talking about. So a lot of different ways that we can collaborate with our clients to ensure that we're removing those pain points for sure.
All right, great. Well, thank you everyone for presenting today. Rowan, Jen, Adam, I appreciate that. And for everyone on our webinar today, or if you're watching on demand, we thank you for taking the time out to join us.
Thank you so much, Angie.
Thank you.
If anyone has any further questions, feel free to contact your account manager at Innovia Consulting, or you can contact ChargeLogic. And Adam, what did you say that contact info was?
Yeah, the best email would be sales@chargelogic.com.
Okay, great. All right, everyone. Well, we do have more webinars coming up. Tomorrow, we have Equisys presenting on Achieve More in Your Day with Zetadox for Business Central. And also tomorrow in the afternoon, we have Kalumo presenting on top 5 corporate forecasting hacks used by your peers. So check out our website for more of our upcoming events, and that's innovia.com/events. And we do have a podcast going on. If you have not heard of it already, it's called the Innovia Conversation. And we just want to encourage you to listen to the selection that our hosts, Steve Boltz and Jeff Progolski, have provided to us. And you can find out about all the different podcast platforms to listen to on our podcast page, and that's innovia.com/podcast. So check out the selection and subscribe so you'll be notified when those new episodes air. And we do have a new round of training workshops for you and your team members to attend. visit our training workshop page at inovia.com/workshops for more information and to register for the training workshop that fits your role. All right, well, again, thank you, VersaPay team, for presenting today, and everyone on our webinar, or if you're watching on demand, thanks for taking the time out.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we look forward to seeing you on another Inovia webinar. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.